tremendously good day to you, this day of your time. How are you all?
Yes!
I will take that as a fine. All right. We thank you for the co-creation of this interaction. You may proceed as your imaginations so desire. What would you like to discuss with us this day?
Okay. I have my first question.
Yes.
How are you?
Perfect, and you?
Wonderful.
All right.
Thank you. My first question is, I smoke marijuana
Yes.
on a regular basis, on every day, I would say.
All right.
And on occasion, I will take psychedelic drugs such as
Yes.
mushrooms, acid, DMT.
Yes.
I feel personally that the use of these, I feel like I consider these to be tools in this process
Yes.
of ascension, enlightenment that I seem to be experiencing.
They are,
Wonderful.
and can be, depending on how you use them.
Okay.
Now, most people in your society don't necessarily need to use them as often as they think. The idea is that in the natural form in which the earth provides certain kinds of tools of this nature, and the more natural ones are in that sense already designed to interact with your chemistry and your psychology in a particular way, rather than the artificial ones, you follow me?
Mm-hmm.
The natural ones are already designed to have a certain effect, and when used in conjunction with certain, shall we say, personal processing rituals, can be very effective in assisting an individual to get in touch with very deep and profound levels of their consciousness, and get in touch with expanded levels of consciousness beyond the physical world. But this is why, if you will observe what you may call indigenous societies in various parts of your planet, this is why they surround the utilization of those particular tools, those drugs, with certain kinds of processing rituals, such as vision quests and so forth. You follow me?
Yes.
Just the idea of continually taking them is not really allowing one to actually integrate the experience one has from each time. The idea is that they will actually have a more profound effect on your life if you take them intermittently, and in between and during use or create or attract yourself to a particular processing ritual that will allow you to integrate the experience and the information that comes from the utilization of those tools, rather than just continuing to take them frequently. You follow me?
Yes, very much.
All right. Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you.
All right.
You want to keep?
Okay.
I don't want to keep.
Sure.
Yes.
I'm curious about, as far as within the next 5 years,
Yes.
How important it is for us to integrate ourselves with nature.
It is important every moment. In this transformational age, the sooner you can allow yourself more integration on every level with everything in your reality, it will help you accelerate greatly. Integration is key now in this transformational age. As we have said, the idea is that those that wait to integrate will find it tougher to do so later on. Because as the energy, the collective wave accelerates, it will be harder for you to catch that wave, ride that wave, unless you are willing to integrate on a daily basis to the best of your ability. Now, we have talked a lot about the idea of what we perceive to be the most efficient way to integrate. And the most efficient way, in our opinion, to integrate is always following your highest joy with integrity to the best of your ability. You follow me? And so by doing that, by being willing to recognize that what you call excitement is the vibrational energy of your true self, and by acting on every circumstance and situation that occurs in your life synchronistically that gives you an opportunity to act on that, then you will constantly be in a state of integration, no matter at what rate it may occur. And you will always be perfectly in sync with the collective integration as you need to be, as long as you are being true to yourself in that way by those behaviors and by those actions. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. All right. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I have another question.
Oh, all right.
As far as being true to yourself,
Yes.
how do you know the difference between being true to, as far as the ego-based
Yes.
mind, and to your heart?
Well, When you allow yourself to make an honest assessment of what your belief systems and definitions are about any given situation that you may seem attracted to, and you give yourself an opportunity to define yourself in relationship to it, you will gain the ability, you will gain through this practice the ability to discern the difference. Most of you can really tell the difference if you just simply sit still and be quiet and listen to your heart as to whether or not something is truly you, or whether it is something that really has nothing to do with you, but maybe you have defined in a way that makes it uncertain. Do you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Most of you can really tell. It's really not that difficult. If you make an honest assessment and ask yourself the simple question, am I simply defining something as either true or not true because I have a fear or a doubt about my relationship to it, you will usually find that you will get an answer. The idea is to simply ask yourself whether you are imposing a definition on something that actually has a different kind of energy, or whether you're seeing it for what it is and feel in your heart that it is something that you feel attracted to. Now, of course, you can be attracted to something and feel it is a true representation of your truth and your excitement. But the idea is to always do it without expectation, for it is the expectation often that, shall we say, gets you into trouble and is representative of other definitions that may be in your consciousness that don't necessarily serve you in the best way possible. So by always moving toward the thing that excites you the most without expectation, you at least then are leaving yourself open for synchronicity to show you whether having moved in that direction actually serves you best or not, by not assuming that a certain outcome must occur, but letting life show you what does need to happen, and then seeing how you feel about that, and how you relate to that, and how you define yourself in relation to that thing. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Is this answering your question?
Yeah.
Does this help?
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Bashar, my next question is, in this process of waking up and understanding that I have been indoctrinated into a belief system that is simply not true,
yes.
I'm wondering
well,
how this...
not true for you.
Okay, not true for me.
It is all true.
Of my highest potential.
Yes.
I'd like to know what your thoughts are on certain foods that we eat, things that we can habitualize into our daily practice.
Yes.
Right now, there is a lot of talk of how harmful everything is in the
Well,
American
it's primarily
society.
because, first and foremost, your water, your food, your air is polluted. And so you are getting a lot of toxicity in the things that you ingest, in the things that you drink, in the things that you breathe. So the idea, first and foremost, is, of course, body consciousness at any given moment will tell you what is really best for you. But again, of course, you have to be in touch with the definitions in your psychology as to why you might feel the need to eat a certain thing. Now, generally speaking, obviously, the more natural, the more fresh, the more organic, the lighter you eat, the better it is for your system in general. Because you really don't need as much as many of you on your planet may think. So the idea is to always be as light as possible, as natural as possible, as fresh as possible. Then, allow your body consciousness, when you are in touch with it, to tell you what it may need at any given moment because of the chemistry that is going on in your body at that moment. And it is all right to eat a variety of things as long as it is done in moderation. Most people on your planet have simply been indoctrinated to think that they need more than they do. It is not so much exactly even what you eat, but how much and why that makes the difference. But also, because of the degree of toxicity in whatever it is you do decide to eat, a regular detoxification and cleansing of the organs and the body is always going to be of great benefit to you. Perhaps once, twice, maybe even 3 or 4 times a year, depending upon the degree of toxicity that you may believe your body is holding on to. Because you see, when your body has absorbed toxins over a long period of time, the toxins lodge themselves in the cells in such a way that it actually prevents your body from absorbing whatever nutrient you do put in your body. So it has, in that sense, a double negative effect. By cleansing yourself, detoxifying the body in all ways that you can, then you give your body the opportunity to absorb whatever nutrients you are putting in, and you will find very rapidly the body can heal itself from just about anything if it simply has no toxins to deal with and is given the proper nutrition. Then it will work as it is designed to work. But generally, as we've said, Lighter in that sense might be best for your body, and not as much is best for your body, but trust your body consciousness to tell you what it feels that it needs at any given moment, and don't judge it. At the same time, we would suggest you do whatever process is necessary to be in touch with your own psychology, your own beliefs, and your own definitions about why you may feel at any given moment that you wish or crave a certain thing, to make sure that it is your body consciousness telling you your body needs it, as opposed to your psychology just simply saying, I want it because I'm lacking something else. And this is just acting as a substitute for that thing I will not give myself. You see the difference?
Yes.
Does this answer the question sufficiently?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right. And, if I may,
Please.
one of the things that you also must be aware of, since you brought up the idea of smoking, no matter what it is, again, and the reason to do this more intermittently rather than absolutely regularly, is that smoke, even from that, taken into the body that way, will dehydrate and add toxins into the body that must then be gotten rid of. You follow me?
Yes, I do.
So, that's why, in moderation, in that sense, is best when coupled with a ritual that allows you to use the information so that you're not constantly dehydrating the body or pumping toxins into it to a level that it doesn't have the ability to deal with efficiently. You follow me?
Clear.
All right. Thank you.
My next question is, if we were living in a world of one love, such as your civilization does,
Yes.
would the idea of male and female kind of fall to the wayside in the way we interact with each other as far as expressing our love and gratitude
That depends.
be pretty equal?
It depends.
Okay.
That will not necessarily become a homogeneous reality for everyone. In other words, some individuals may wish to maintain, for a variety of experiential reasons, the idea of that kind of definition, and other individuals may not. In our society, you will actually find that it runs the gamut, as you say. There are individuals who have, in your estimation, lost all sense of, or all perception of, the concept of gender identity. And yet there are also individuals who have maintained that, because it simply serves them to have an experience in that direction. So it really is that when you arrive at that state, you can do whatever you wish. It's not that that state requires that those things disappear. It's that that state allows you to determine whether or not it's necessary for you. And then choose accordingly and experience yourself accordingly. Do not necessarily assume that certain things must go away just because you arrive in a certain state. The idea of gender expression in and of itself is not necessarily an indication of negativity or polarity in that sense. You follow me?
Yes.
All right. Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does.
It's really up to what the individual wishes to experience. That's really the simplest way to put it.
Yep.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
As far as Bashar, as far as the supposed earth changes and the light and photons and
Yes.
those kind of things coming into our environment within the next 5 years.
Well, you're already experiencing many different kinds of transformations on your planet, geologically, climactically. Yes, of course. You're in the middle of it already.
As far as what to expect, or
Expect nothing.
Okay.
As we
As far as
said,
preparing
drop expectation.
Okay.
As far as so-called preparing, again, drop expectation.
And just allow it to come into.
If you know that you are being of the vibration that is true for you, then it doesn't really matter what happens in the world. You know your synchronicity will put you where you need to be, when you need to be there, and that you will experience it in a way that will always be of benefit to you, regardless of what's going on around you. Things could be falling apart all around you, within inches of you. It won't touch you in a negative way if you stay in the state of reality that you prefer to be. Then you will only get a positive or beneficial effect from it and be able to perhaps assist others who may not be having such an easy time of it. You follow me?
Yeah.
So the idea of having to prepare for it, in a sense, is not really the approach that allows you to detach from expectation. The idea of simply being in the state you prefer will take care of anything that comes your way. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
This is really simple physics. You cannot experience what you're not the vibration of. Make sense?
Yeah.
Now, you may have a collective agreement on Earth. You may generally agree that you will observe certain things, you will experience certain things, but again, its effect upon you will only be determined by the state of being you choose to be in. So even though you may participate in a certain kind of event, it doesn't mean it has to impact you negatively, even though it may impact everyone else around you that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then by your example, others can learn that it doesn't have to impact them negatively either.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does this help?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And a you good day.
It seems like at what is being called fourth density, you know what you need to know when you need to know it. And
Yes.
so I wonder, I would prefer actually to not ever ask any more questions.
You
Are
go
there
right
ever?
ahead.
Yeah, thank you.
Again, it doesn't matter whether you do or not.
Right.
And the idea simply is to trust your own synchronicity. You all have the ability to access all the information you need all the time. You don't have to ask the question in that sense, although sometimes, depending upon your own process and what's needed for you, sometimes asking the question can actually trigger the answer within you. It just depends on how your psychology works. It's all right to ask the question. At the same time, you can know that you have the ability to download the answer. In a sense, what we say sometimes is the question contains the answer. For if you did not have an ability to understand the answer, you probably wouldn't have had the awareness to even know there was a question. Because it's two sides of the same coin. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
The fact that you are even aware that there is a question to ask means the answer lies somewhere within you.
Yeah.
So all you have to do in asking the question is then take the little bent up question mark and straighten it out into an exclamation point.
Yes.
You follow me?
Yes.
So you can trust your own synchronicity that way. At the same time, if you feel like you need to ask a question,
Right.
don't judge yourself for asking it.
Right.
Know that it's simply part of your process.
Right. There's no inherent need, though, for questions. They're not required.
Well, let me put it this way.
Mm-hmm.
What will never disappear is curiosity. So in that sense, you could say there is always a perpetual why. Because that lures you into more mystery and lures you into more expansiveness. In that sense, that question will never go away. But in terms of the way in which we think you meant it, specifically, no, you don't necessarily always have to ask little detailed questions to understand that you actually have the bigger picture within you already.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Bashar,
Yes!
I don't want to assume, so I would like to ask you, are you familiar with what we are doing in regards to the internet right now, us specifically our company?
Define.
We are launching a channel of sorts, like television channel, but it's going to be on the internet.
Oh, all right.
We expect to have millions and millions of viewers.
All right, although no expectation is required.
This is, yes.
Do it because that's what you love to do.
Yes.
With the understanding that anything you do will always have an audience if it's something that's truly representative of your joy.
Yes.
Because if there were no audience, then you would not be inspired to do the thing you wish to do.
Yes.
Again, it's a two-sided coin. You cannot have someone who wishes to give information without, in the same reality, having someone who wishes to receive that information.
So speaking for myself, Britton, and I think Ace and many others in this room,
Yes.
following our highest joy would be sharing your teachings with as many people as we possibly could. Is this something that you are okay with?
Information itself, in general, as principles, is available to everyone. If you are talking about the idea of the conventions on your planet that involve the concept of business in terms of what you call copyright ownership, you have the person in the room with you that you need to take that up with. For it has nothing to do with my permission. It has to do with your earthly conventions.
No.
And you can discuss that among yourselves.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes, we understand.
Because we, in that sense, simply say that all information is available to anyone. But we also understand that on your planet, you have conventions of law that govern the idea of exactly how that information is presented and from whom, and in terms of the idea of acknowledgement of where it comes from, these things we understand are handled in very specific ways, and that can easily be done, but it's up to you to discuss it with the individual, April, that is, in that sense, shall we say, responsible for that. But it's not for me to say. You follow me?
Yes.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
All right.
I have a question.
Yes. Good day.
Good day. Thank you for joining us, Bashar. I am wondering what your involvement is in our experience here.
Honored.
Yes.
Well, as you see it, we are aiding and assisting in the transformation that we recognize is going on your planet at this time by imparting ideas and perspectives and information that you have an ability to choose to absorb or not. And based on your choice to absorb or use this information that we share with you for what has worked for us, will then determine the idea of our further interaction and the degree of it. Now, we perceive it as heading toward more and more concrete interaction between your civilization and our civilization and other civilizations. But that's really in your hands. It's really up to you. All we are allowed to do at this moment, without interfering, is the idea of imparting information in the way that we are doing it now, and leave it up to you as to whether to take that information to heart and use it in a way that changes your reality in a direction that you prefer. And if you do, and it matches ours, then there is more conduciveness towards future interaction in a more concrete way. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Did that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
Gotcha.
No, go ahead.
Sean.
I'll go ahead.
Bashar, I was wondering,
Yes.
what do you think as far as children, the example that they have for us to learn from them?
Oh, I think you know the answer to that by asking that kind of a question in that way.
Yeah.
Many of the children being born on your planet now, in that sense, are not just another generation, they're actually another species.
Yeah.
And the idea is that they have changed in a way that allows them to be more in touch with who they really are. And thus they act as perfect examples, in many ways, of being a more holistic self. So certainly you can use them in that way as an example of how to be mature, but at the same time not lose your connection to your childhood ability to be more in touch with your imagination and more of your connectivity to all that is. So certainly you can always use the idea of children in that way. You follow?
Yes.
All right.
Answer my question.
And of course they represent changes going on in your reality. Remember that all the children being born on your planet and for the last several decades have never known a time on your planet when you weren't in space, when you weren't dealing with the idea of unseen energies. That is natural in their psychology, and thus that's what makes them different. They do not in that sense have the question or the doubt that such things exist. They know they do, because it's been part of their reality. It's just a matter of to what degree that they exist in their experience, and in what way they exist in their experience. But those individuals on your planet, born before a certain time, do not have the same certainty that they have now, in that sense, and with regard to those kinds of unseen realities. That to them is natural. Just look at your television programming. Just about every other one for children contains something that has to do with either extraterrestrials, other dimensional beings, spirits. You follow me? Mm-hmm. This is natural to them. And by the time they are, in that sense, the age of many of the people on your planet who now run your world, they will not see any reason why communication with beings such as ourselves, or spirits, or beings from other dimensions shouldn't happen as a matter of daily occurrence. You follow me? Those barriers are already dropped in them. They never existed in them. Does that help?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you. Would you ever be open to doing a class on channeling?
We have done one.
Mm-hmm.
It is, at this time, not the most efficient use of the delivering of the information. We are always open to anything, but we simply sense, in the overall scheme of things, that information of a different kind and nature must be delivered right now to best serve humanity on Earth, rather than specifically narrowing it down to the idea of teaching one to channel. Now, of course, conversely, channeling is simply getting out of your own way psychologically and allowing yourself to function as more of your holistic self and tapping into whatever it is represents the most whole expression of your being. So in that sense, anything you do that's an act of creative love is a state of channeling. And that, in some sense, is thus then what we're actually already teaching you all to do, by urging you to follow your joy. We're urging you to channel more of yourself, because that's the whole idea to channeling anyway. The process of channeling, as you're witnessing it now, in terms of my consciousness coming through the person before you, doesn't leave that person out. One of the most important aspects of the channeling is that the channel himself or herself actually also becomes more of their own version of the highest possible person they can be. Thus then, you can leapfrog over the need to actually have an entity speak through you by simply becoming more of yourself every day anyway. And thus then simply commune with other beings as equals. The only reason that it exists in this format, in terms of beings speaking through humans on Earth, is because there are still many humans on Earth that will not allow human beings to be able to integrate this way. They will not accept it. They will only accept it from what they perceive to be an exterior authority figure.
Wow.
And thus then this is a way of slowly over time getting people used to the idea that you all have this within you. And that is the whole idea, is to be your version of what you believe we are, so that we can meet as equals, not as someone who has more authority over you. But that's the way your planet has functioned for thousands of years, so it takes a little time for you to get over that kind of relationship. But that's all right. We understand that. And therefore we are happy to participate in this particular idea. But you see, the basic reason we are doing this job is to put ourselves out of a job, so that we simply can play together. You follow me?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, I got a quick one. Bashar?
Yes.
I would like to know if you can sense any cosmic heritage within me, or if you can sense that
Cosmic heritage.
Yeah.
You all have cosmic heritage.
Right.
Everyone on your planet has cosmic heritage. What are you most attracted to? Any particular arena? Any particular kind of energy? Any particular kind of symbols? Those are the things that represent the ones you are connecting to in this life.
Okay.
That serve you best. Such as many people on your planet connecting to the idea of the energy that is associated with the star system of Sirius. You follow me?
Yes.
And that has to do a lot with water, dolphin, whale consciousness, and so forth. Many individuals have made that connection in this life because they understand that that kind of energy association will aid and assist them in their transformation. It's something they can relate to in terms of their cosmic heritage. Does that make sense?
It's getting there.
All right. So whatever it is you feel most attracted to, and of course, no accident that we're all having this conversation today.
Not at all.
So thus then there is obviously vibrational attraction to our particular reality domain as well for all of you, or you wouldn't be here. So it's simply a matter of taking into account all the different kinds of vibrations you are attracted to that represent the idea of cosmic connections, and simply recognizing that you have made those connections to serve you and your personality aspects in ways that you deem is most necessary to allow you to become more fully who you are as a human on Earth. It's about bringing heaven down to earth, not about making a cosmic connection in a way that allows you to run away from what you chose to be on Earth. You follow?
Yes.
It's about bringing those connections down to earth and manifesting those kinds of realities on your planet. That's why you chose to be where you are.
Thank you.
Now, of course, please remember, when individuals on your planet talk about, cosmic connections and connecting to this alien system and that extraterrestrial system, please understand you tend to forget that from our point of view, you are aliens.
Right.
So you're already, in that sense, an alien. Maybe not an extraterrestrial, but you are definitely an extra-Sasanian. To me.
Great.
So being an Earth human is just as valid, just as important an energy vibration, and just as alien to other beings as we are to you.
Well,
You follow me?
yes, completely.
All right.
And that's as far as going a little deeper with that. What I was getting at is there? Am I of this earth, or was I?
Again, what I just told you says you are of this Earth and of other places.
Great, I'm done.
Both. Thank you.
Yeah.
Remember, it's not this or that, it's this and that.
It's everything.
Because you are on Earth. Obviously, yes.
Yes.
Therefore, you are of Earth. But you feel connections to other places, yes?
Yes.
Therefore, you are connected to them too. This and that, not this or that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Again, there are no one-sided coins. If you have the head, you have to have the tail, or there's no coin. So this and that, not this or that.
Do people dance a lot on Etsasani?
They do.
Yeah, all the time?
In a variety of ways.
Yeah.
Again, depending upon synchronicity.
Yeah.
We're not constantly dancing around. Although, of course, it depends on what you mean by dancing, because we're dancing right now, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
All right. But physiologically dancing, yes, from time to time. But not always, no.
Yeah.
Bashar,
Yes!
I believe that it is very having visuals, letting people see to help them believe is a very effective tool.
Yes, it is.
Recently, we have discovered some footage from a shot captured by NASA
Yes.
in outer space, and it's very effective. It is footage of spaceships,
Yes.
and I was wondering, to make it even more real for people, I was wondering if we could set up a time and place where I could get some footage of one of your scout ships.
That is possible, but I cannot give you an absolute on that.
Okay.
However, one moment. Do you have any inclination to go into what you would call your either Central American or South American area?
Yes.
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 Very soon.
When?
Very soon.
When?
Now's a good time for you.
No. When are you going?
March, April?
Is this a question?
April.
This is a question. Yes, I don't know.
April.
We don't know.
Yeah.
What I am simply saying is,
Yeah.
do you already have the inclination, or have you already discussed going to those areas on your planet?
Yeah.
Yes.
I have.
And did you, in your discussion, decide when you thought it might be best for you to go there?
ASAP.
I said March. Mid-March.
Is there
I
a
personally did not.
consensus in this?
No,
There is
no,
no-
there's
there's no
definitely
consensus.
not.
When you discuss this and find a consensus, then you will understand through your own synchronicity that others are also helping you form that consensus, and there is a high degree of probability that you will be able to capture something on film.
Okay.
So Central South America.
Either Central America or South America.
Central.
It depends on you. We'll leave that up to you. And it may not be us, but it may be the others.
Fine.
We're down.
You have already begun to see interaction, the beginnings of the interaction of those who will contact your world first, openly. What you call the incident known as the Phoenix Lights. Are you familiar with this?
Yes.
In your year of 1997, a large 1 mile long craft passed over the entire state of Arizona, seen by multiple witnesses, thousands of witnesses. Those are the beings that will first contact your world openly. They will do this again sometime this year. Most likely also in March. So, if you wish to simply open up to the idea that a massive sighting will occur in and around your March time of this year, you may find yourself attracted to somewhere in your United States whereby you may participate in such a sighting. It may still be in the Southwest somewhere. This has not yet been determined. Aside from that sighting, there is still the possibility of going to Central or South America and also capturing something on film.
Can you tell me what civilization is?
The ones that will contact your world openly first will be a type of hybrid. Not the same as us exactly. And that's all we are allowed to say.
Thank you very much for that.
You are welcome.
More?
Yeah. Earlier, you were saying that you guys are getting through your job so that you can basically play with us. Could you speak more on the concept of playing in the universal context?
Well, again, it simply comes down to following your own joy and trusting that the synchronicity that is generated by following your own joy individually will automatically tie into the synchronicity of others following their joy who need to interact with you. So that you simply wind up at the right place at the right time, interacting with exactly who you need to interact with at exactly the right moment, doing exactly together the thing that each of you wishes to do in absolute harmony automatically without planning a thing. That's what we mean. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
All right. It's just knowing. It's an absolute knowing that it's all play. And it's an absolute knowing that your synchronicity will, by following your joy, always put you in the right place at the right time, interacting with exactly who you need to interact with at that moment. So you see, you may have events on your planet that you plan, be it such and such a place, at such and such a time, to experience such and such. Now, we can have similar ideas, but we don't plan it. It's just that anyone who needs to be there is there when they need to be, and the event occurs. But we don't plan it. And remember, of course, that we also know we are all telepathically connected. So we're always in touch. We just follow the ebb, flow, and current of our own synchronicity, of our own energy, of our own joy. And we always wind up exactly where we need to be, when we need to be there, with whom we need to be there with. Doing what we need to do because we're inspired to do it, and so are they. Nothing is ever planned out. But that's the way we operate. I'm not saying that planning a little bit isn't bad. I'm not saying that. You can plan. But be open also to the synchronicity. Allow for spontaneity. Because that's actually a stronger way to plan. The thing that excites you the most, as we have said many times, actually is not only the driving engine of your life, it's the organizing principle too. It knows where you need to be. It knows when you need to be there. It knows with whom you need to interact. It knows this. It's innate in the consciousness itself. All you need to do is ride that wave, flow with that wave of joy, and you will see that it organizes everything automatically. And everyone that needs to show up when they need to show up, shows up. Simple. Easy. Effective. Efficient. Playful. Automatic effort. That's how it works when you allow it to. You don't have to make it work, just let it work. Make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question
Yes.
about commitment.
Commitment.
And relationships
Yes.
on Earth
Yes.
are meant, in my world, to transcend us to expandedness
Yes.
and higher levels of joy.
Of course.
And
All relationships are for the purpose of everyone in the relationship reflecting what they need to the other people in the relationship to allow the other people to become more of who they are. That's what relationships are for.
yes.
Commitment is simply how you define it. So the idea of keeping a commitment is simply being true to the word you give of whatever you define the relationship to be. It doesn't matter how it's defined. It only matters that if you have defined it, then you have a commitment to allow yourself to follow through with your definition, as you have clearly communicated it to others in the relationship. That's all commitment is. Following through on what you have said the commitment or the relationship actually is. It doesn't matter what it is, just that what you have defined, you stick to.
Now, is that valuable and expansive, or is that restricting?
Some limitation is positive, you know. The idea of defining things in a certain way allows you to have a certain kind of an experience. And so if you use it that way, in an open communicative style, and let everyone understand clearly what the relationship is actually for and not what they think it might be for, then there's no limitation experienced even within a relatively limited definition. Because you can expand and explore everything about the definition you've imposed on it to the fullest degree. And if you have stated clearly, this is what it's for, this is who I am, this is what I prefer in it, then you give all the other people in the relationship an opportunity to choose to interact with you in that relationship in the way that you have defined yourself in that relationship. And thus, by clearly defining who you are in this relationship and what you prefer, they can then choose to interact with you or not. And even though you have, in that sense, shall we say, offered them a particular limited definition, you have expanded the thing beyond limitation by trusting enough to define yourself clearly and communicate yourself clearly to everyone so that you're giving them the opportunity to choose whether or not to interact with you, and thus knowing that those that do choose it are choosing it with an absolute clear understanding of what they're getting into, and that allows the limitations to not be felt. Does that make sense?
Beautifully so.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bashar,
Yes.
am I to understand that there is a choice that is made when incarnation takes place in human form?
Yes.
So can you...
Always you have
Yes.
choice. Always you have choice. On all levels you have choice. You may not know it. You may create an experience of not having an awareness that you have a choice, but even if you create an experience that you have no choice, that's still a choice.
So can you speak on what is happening then when babies are born
Yes.
dead, like stillborns or
Yes.
miscarriages,
Yes.
or... Thank you.
They didn't need to experience physical reality that long. They just needed to stick their toe in the water for a minute. And they chose someone that they understood would allow that experience to occur because of what was going on physiologically in the person. Wouldn't allow the baby to come to term. Wouldn't allow the baby to survive. They simply allowed themselves to recognize that the random patterns that exist in nature allow all possibilities to occur. Survival and lack of physical survival. And if they simply don't need to have an entire life, but only need a moment of it, they will choose someone who will have a child that will not survive, and they will then attach themselves to that and have the experience in the time limit that they need it, and then they will leave. Knowing that that's exactly what they chose. Make sense?
Perfect sense.
All right. Nothing is, in that sense, an accident. It's all an orchestration.
So that was my next question, is do souls of children coming to be born of their parents here on earth, do they choose
Yes.
their parents?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's whatever temperature you wish it to be.
Bashar.
Yes.
As far as reincarnation goes,
Yes.
On an individual basis,
Yes.
How, as far as all realities exist right now, how,
Yes.
how
That's
can
why
I-
we prefer to say multiple simultaneous
Yeah.
incarnation as opposed to reincarnation, because it only appears to be reincarnation from within your time-space framework.
So
They all exist at the same time.
in a sense of planning for me, I would like to get to know more of my realities. That are
Go
going
right
on
ahead.
now.
However you wish to do, that's up to you.
Now, do I've found a way to do it by just scratching the surface, and then it kind of flushes in.
All
in
right.
that sense.
All right. Whatever works for you is fine.
But this is something that is possible.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
You must understand that there is always cross-communication between the different lives.
Right.
Always.
Always.
So it's not a matter of having to make that happen, it's just a matter of tapping in.
And noticing.
And it's a matter of understanding what part of that cross-communication might or might not be relevant for you.
Okay.
Now, what many of you also don't know and don't need to know, because it might just simply clog up the process, is that you are always receiving information from different experiences you're having in different lives, but you might receive that information in a way that only seems like an inspiration you had in this life. You might get an idea of something. You might get an inspiration. You may not understand that that may actually have come from an experience in another life. But the point is, you may not need to understand that.
Right.
So, whatever it is you need to know that comes from another life, when you need to know it comes from another life, you will, if you're open to it. You'll get the picture, you'll get the image, you'll get the feeling. You'll show yourself some sign or synchronistic symbol that will let you know that there's a connection. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
In other words, you might suddenly find yourself walking down the street and being inspired by a thought. And then you might suddenly, in the same moment, notice a sign, a picture, a symbol, or hear a word that for some reason transports you to thoughts of other times and other places. That might be a way that your synchronicity has of showing you that that thought, that idea actually originated in another life. Make sense?
Yeah.
But if you don't get that, it doesn't really necessarily mean you have to have that. It just may mean that you have the information, use the information as works best for you, and get on with your life. You don't need to stop and ponder, where did it come from? You follow?
Yeah.
But if it gives you joy to do so, then by all means be open to it and allow your synchronicity to give you those moments that show you and connect you to that idea. Now, of course, you can use any number of techniques. You can use the idea of hypnotherapy, regression, you can use meditation, you can use whatever you wish to get yourself to be put in touch with the idea of other lives you are having simultaneously. And of course, when I say you are having, I mean your greater oversoul is having, because you aren't having those other lives. You are this personality here. You understand the difference?
Yes.
It is your oversoul that is having all the simultaneous lives. Now, of course, don't forget, not only are there many different lives in what you would call one time stream, there are also an infinite number of parallel realities.
Right.
So there are also different versions of this you in different realities, on different earths, as well as different lives you may feel you have had in one timeline.
True. So would you say that imagination is key then?
It is. Magi Nation. You are a nation of magicians. Imagination is your connection to the dimension itself that touches all other realities. That's what it's for. You cannot imagine something that isn't somewhere real, because you cannot imagine non-existence. Anything you imagine is somewhere, somehow, in some reality, actually real.
Yes.
You follow me?
Man.
It may not be relevant to your reality here. It may not be physical or real as you understand it, but it's actually autonomously happening somewhere, somewhen, somehow, because you do not have the capacity to imagine non-existence. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And give you a fuller understanding of exactly how multidimensional you are?
Yeah.
All right. Then I have done my job.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Good day to you, Bashar.
And good day to you.
A couple of us here had an amazing opportunity to experience a channel just a few months back in our time.
Yes.
And found out some special things about ourselves.
Oh,
And,
all right.
I've been really nothing that I didn't already know. But,
Yes,
it was
that's
just nice.
usually actually the case.
Yes, and every single question that I've thought I've had today has been
Yes.
answered in some way or
Yes.
another.
That's,
But I-
again, synchronicity.
Yes, and I feel that every day. I know my highest joy is kind of separating myself in a jam, in a dance, as you call this,
All right.
conversation, or but ultimately is in music
Oh, all right.
expression.
All right.
And I have many talents that I feel are either tapped into from the all-around universal
Yes.
knowledge bank or
Yes.
past lives,
Yes.
as you were just talking about.
Doesn't matter.
But in a moment where I am performing for many people, it can be many people all sharing the same moment of something that I've created.
Yes, the same vibration. Yes.
That moment I'm feeling, I get lost in that so much that it is definitely a feeling of channel.
Oh,
As
yes,
you said,
absolutely.
maybe my higher self.
Yes.
I'm wondering if if you ever take the opportunity to get into that moment. And
I am never out of that moment. Don't you understand? That's the way we live. We are never out of those moments. There is only one moment. We are always in it. Always. And forever.
Paul, so are you speaking of actually when you are in a state of channel, in a channeled state, is our other civilizations that are not here on Earth also experiencing the same euphoria that you are at that moment?
Yes.
As in through.
When you arrive in that particular state of unification, everyone that is also in that state feels it and knows it.
That's tight!
that's why I'm here. Why I've created.
Because there is only one moment.
Yeah.
So when you fully live in it, everyone who is also living in it knows who else is there. That is the all that is. That's why the all that is knows everyone and everything. Because it is everyone and everything. And every aspect of itself that chooses to live in that knowledge, in that sense, is known by all that is in that way.
Bashar, so
Yes.
is sex and the act of
Yes.
orgasm,
Yes.
copulation, is that also sensed and felt in the cosmos?
It can be. It depends upon the degree of actual alignment that is achieved by that act.
Could you speak more on that?
No, for sure.
Could you speak more on the alignment, Bashar?
Well, in its natural state, the idea of joining in that way is simply the physiological counterpart of the energy exchange, of the creation of an energy bubble, of a united reality, a united vibrational reality in which there is an exchange and a sharing of each other. And sex, physical sex, is simply the physiological alignment or representation of that alignment when done in that way.
But it can does it occur every time sex happens, or only
No.
during certain? It has to be an alignment in a sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Or else it's just mechanical.
Well, in a sense, I'm not saying that that in and of itself cannot be a positive experience.
Right, right.
We are simply answering the question in the way that it was asked.
Right, right. I see what you're saying.
The idea is that that particular physical union is the physical representation of the full energy alignment that is possible between individuals when they use it that way, and thus then allow all levels of their being and energy to be in synchronous harmony, including the physical world, and all the cells within the body, and all the energy fields of the body.
So it's kind of like with him doing the show then, as far as him connecting with his reality outside of him.
Yes.
And channeling.
Yes.
Similar.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Any more questions? I don't really.
I have. I just have another question
Yes.
about relationships and how you experience them.
Do you mean us personally?
Yes.
Yes, all right.
In terms of interconnectedness with, do you have families or do you?
Yes, we
connect?
can.
You can.
But at the same time, we actually consider every single person in our society to be married to everyone else. We are all one family, even though we may also have discrete families. But you see, the way that works on our planet thus then is that we understand that the members of our discrete families, no matter who they're with, are simply with another member of our family. And that's why our children, as such, when they are, in your eyes, very, very young, can still go wandering off and do what they wish to do, and no matter who they interact with, they're simply with another member of their family, and we know it.
That's awesome.
We are in one family. We are in one relationship. We are in one marriage.
One big tribe.
In a sense, yes.
That's the screenplay.
How do we get there?
You are getting there by being more of your true self and living more in the moment and trusting your life. Trusting life is how you get there. And living in that trust. Remember, it's not an issue of learning to trust. It's an issue of learning to trust what you prefer. Because you're always trusting something to be true. But when you stop trusting the things you don't prefer, then you will find that you start trusting the things that you do. And that there is no difference in that sense in the universe's ability to give you a reality of the things you do prefer, in the same way it supported you in believing in the things that you didn't. Because the universe always supports you, 100%. But it can only take its cue from what you say is the thing you trust the most. So if you trust in the idea of fear and doubt and lack, the universe says, all right, I will support you in fear and doubt and lack. So you see, even in lack, you are being supported. Because what you are being given is an abundance of lack. All you have to do is decide that you would rather have an abundance of abundance, and the universe will say, okay, instantly and immediately. So it's always in your hands. It's always in your hands. There is nothing in the universe that is capable of contradicting what you say you are. That's what free will is all about. That's why you are made in the image of God. You are a co-creator. What you say goes. Absolutely.
Yes.
But you have to pay attention to what you're saying. Because the universe is always listening. And is always responding. And will not contradict you. And when you say, I am not worthy, the universe says, okay. I will give you a life that proves you're not worthy. Of course, the paradox is that since you are being totally supported in your belief of unworthiness, you are actually obviously very worthy in the eyes of creation to be having that experience. Because the universe is still paying attention to what you're saying. So, that's the paradox. You are unconditionally loved. You may experience life in a way that lets you feel that you are not, but that's what unconditional love is all about. All that is loves you so unconditionally, it will actually allow you to believe you are not unconditionally loved. That's unconditional love. But you're still being supported in that belief. Unconditionally. That's what unconditional actually means. Look it up in your dictionaries. Many people on your planet seem very confused by that term. Because there are many people on your planet that say, oh yes, God loves, but will punish you for this. Look up the word unconditional love. There is no judgment within that definition. You are allowed to be and do whatever you want to be and do. And you are still loved unconditionally. To put it in a very succinct, colloquial euphemism, everyone goes to heaven.
Fuck yeah! That's what my question was going to be. Everyone.
Everyone. Now, their experience of what heaven is will determine, in that sense, what they brought into heaven with them. But everyone is always free to choose at every moment. Even if you physically die, you are always given a choice to come back and continue the life instantaneously or go on into spirit. It's never an automatic thing. Many of you have actually died several times in physical reality. That close call, you don't know how the heck did I get out of that. You didn't. But you died and were given the choice to come back and pick up where you left off and not remember that you died. You are always given a choice at every stage. There is nothing that is not a choice. You are absolutely, totally, utterly, completely free to choose.
Yes.
So relax. You are an eternal, infinite being. No rush, no hurry.
Bashar,
Yes!
I really understand the power of our hearts,
Yes.
and this reality here
Yes.
lends itself often to put lots of weight and strain
Yes.
on that. Do you
Yes.
have any kind of methodology other than just looking to the positive and highest joy of helping release
So
that
you are
strain?
asking me to make the process more complicated?
No, I guess that's not what I'm asking.
All right. It doesn't need to be more complicated than listening to your heart and following it. Because your heart has memory, your heart has wisdom, your heart has consciousness. Your heart actually thinks. And when you can develop a balanced dialogue between the heart mind and the head mind, that's when everything falls into alignment. But you see, the idea of the way you're actually designed is your head mind needs to actually follow your heart mind, not the other way around. They need to work in concert, but the head needs to take its cue from the heart, not contradict it and try to run everything. That's negative ego. When it understands that the heart is actually the center of your being for a reason, not the head, but because your world has been taught to think that what's on top is best, instead of what's in the center counts.
Yes.
When you understand it's what's in the center that counts, you will then reverse the upside-down relationship you have between your heart and your minds. And you will move forward harmoniously. There will be a brief amount of time remaining for this interaction. Is there anything else you wish to discuss in the time that does remain for this particular window?
Yes.
All right.
People that commit acts of murder.
Yes.
When we can now release the idea of death, it's simply just a blink of an eye into a new dimension or a new reality.
Yes.
But those individuals that are committing acts of murder,
Yes. They're still responsible for their choices. They can still be observed to be acting out of fear, doubt, and in a negative manifestation, negative mechanically. Negative energy meaning that which segregates, that which disconnects, that which separates, that which is not holistic, that which is out of alignment with the true self. You can still recognize that that's what they're doing. It doesn't excuse the idea of their preference or choice. It may simply be that they have no way of knowing how to do anything any differently because they weren't taught how to express love in any different way other than to feel fear and lash out. So you can have compassion, but I'm not saying in that sense it's, shall we say, you don't have to devoid the idea that it's their responsibility to learn to choose other ways to act in harmony. You follow me?
yes, I'll review the tape.
In other words, when someone makes a choice to kill another, it is done out of fear. It is done because the one doing the killing feels they have already died, that they have been killed, that they have been suppressed, that they have been abused, that they have been devalued, that they are disconnected from all that is. They are in total fear, total panic. And all they can do, the only way they know how to relate in reaching out to others is to do harm, is to do acts of disconnection. Acts that are representative of how they feel. And so you can recognize that. And I'm not saying you have to judge them, but you can still observe that they may be acting out of integrity as an observation, as a compassionate observation. It's not an excuse, it's an observation. And you can assist those people to get in touch with the idea that they are worthy in the eyes of creation, to be whatever they wish to be, so they can let go of the idea that they must force others to their point of view, because the only reason anyone would have to feel that they need to force someone into their point of view is because they don't believe in their point of view to begin with. Does this make sense?
Oh, beautifully.
Yeah.
All right, and did that answer your question?
Yes, it did.
All right, but again, everyone goes to heaven.
Yes. Yes.
Now, when someone who has done an act of extreme segregation, disconnection, finds themselves in the spirit world, they may be disoriented, they may be confused, they may even go into a kind of psychic hibernation to repair themselves. Almost as if they had a very, very strange nightmare. You follow me? But they will slowly be, shall we say, helped to wake up from that nightmare and remember who they actually are and why they may have made the choices that they did. Now, the soul will take all of that and use it in a positive way for its own growth. The soul will not judge it at all. But the soul may recognize that it may not have been the most aligned way the personality it created could have acted. It may not have made the most aligned and harmonious choices it could have. You follow me?
Yes.
But it will be an observation, not a judgment.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Clear.
It'll be an understanding of the reasons and the factors that went into creating that personality and why it became out of alignment with its core self in that way. Earth I'll put it this way. Earth is a tough school. Has been for many thousands of years. It's one of the most steeply embedded societies we have ever found in limitation. That's why we call you the masters of limitation. But you see, the idea is that the deeper you go into darkness, when you finally come out of that into the light, you'll go that much farther into the light.
Yes. Like a rubber band.
Exactly. And that is the strength that you are all exhibiting by choosing to be on Earth, and the reason we are so grateful to you for having chosen that experience, because your experiences are being shared with others in the cosmos. And thus others, no matter what trials and tribulations or ideas they may be having that they would experience as difficulty, can look to you and say, well, if they can do it, we can do it.
Fuck yeah! That's the shit!
Yes.
Role models for the universe!
Yes.
All right. Now, again, there will be but a few moments remaining. Anything else?
Yeah. Bashar,
Yeah.
as far as karma and God, and you said something about momentum, how some things have a greater momentum behind them.
Yes.
Is that the nature of God in a sense? Because I know we are masters and we create our world, but there's also like, you know, the galaxy and the solar system, the way it moves, and those things.
What you call God is the vibration that you translate as unconditional love. And in that sense, understand that that momentum is the product of the fact that, I'll put it this way, the universe is actually, existence is actually slightly biased toward the positive.
Yeah.
Because it's,
Okay.
shall we say, one side negative, one side positive, one side dark, one side light. But there's that center point,
Yeah.
the balance between. And because it's a balance point, it still gives you the freedom to choose which side you prefer. And that is slightly positive.
Yes.
Therefore, the momentum of the universe, the momentum of existence, is slightly a current bending toward the positive. And that is the momentum and the urge you feel to be in alignment with the unconditional
Yes.
love of all that is.
Right.
Yes.
So all you really have to understand is you just need to let yourself fall in love
Yeah.
with all that is. Because it's the great attractor. It has the strongest gravity pull.
Right.
You actually have to struggle to move away from it. You understand?
Right.
So if you just let go, you will always fall toward love.
Right.
You have to hold yourself out of love.
Right.
Let go and you fall toward love.
Right.
That's why you innately say, falling in love.
Okay.
You understand that. You fall in love. Let go.
Yes.
We extend to each of you our deepest appreciation for the co-creation of this interaction. An exciting and unconditionally loving and creative good day to you all, and thank you.
Yes.
from all of
Yes.
us.
Thank you, Bashar! We love you, Bashar!
Yeah, baby. Yes.
Our love to you as well. Good day.
Good day, my brother.
Wow.
How did it go?
Outstanding.
Good.
It's incredible.
You have a good time?
Yeah, appreciate it.
Sure. My pleasure.
Ugh.
I'm fine. I'm just waking up.
Does it feel like you're going to sleep or are you?
Yeah!
Kind of like being in a daydream.
Like a workout.
Like, oh no, it's not exerting. It's energizing, but it's kind of like falling into a really deep daydream.
Oh, yes. I'll just go around. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank
Do
you,
you have
Darryl.
any impressions
You're welcome.
of what has transpired, or are you?
Sometimes I'll get abstract images, or I'll get like, you know, general concepts sort of like sinking to me, but I'm not hearing the words, so to speak. It's just like, you know, it's like you're daydreaming and someone walks in the room and calls your name and you just don't hear them. You're just like focused on something else. It's like that.
Yeah.
It's like that. So
Wow.
kind of like waking up, and then, you know, when you wake up, the dream is kind of
Yeah, right.
fades away. But I know that I'm left with whatever kernels of information were there, and I can just sort of find them when I need them, but I'll find them in my own way. I won't necessarily remember them in the way he talked to you about it.
Yeah.
I'll find it in the way I need to know it.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it's a cool experience on my side. It's just kind of hard to describe.
Oh, I guess so.
But being in a very intensely energetic, emotional daydream is the best way I can describe it.
Wow.
Time is very collapsed for me, though. For me, I feel like, what time is it? I feel like we've been doing this for maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah. Oh wow.
What time is it?
That's what I'm saying.
No, the same.
It is 12:28.
Okay. So, yeah.
Yep. Wow. Perfect. It's like an alarm clock.
I know. Sometimes I think he wears a watch because he just ends. It's amazing.
I was wondering that. Do you make a okay, it's gonna be an hour and a half.
He just knows.
No, he just feels the timing of it.
Yeah.
And he just kind of says, "You've got what you need at the moment."
Yeah.
That constant probability thing.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. He just taps in and just goes. That's it for the moment. That's the window.
Have you had any other encounter with Bashar besides an energy?
Well, I saw the ship. That's how it all started. Actually,
You
physically
did.
saw the UFO.
Okay.
And
Okay. You can brief me on that.
Yeah,
one.
I learned many years later that was shown to me to get me to, start researching the things I needed, so that by the time it came time to fulfill the agreement, I'd be psychologically prepared for that,
Right.
at least as much as I could be.
And was that an agreement specifically with Bashar, or that Bashar was
Yeah.
helping
Well, because he's my
orchestrate?
future self. He's actually me in another reality, so we sort of, in the soul simply made an agreement to sort of do this and then communicate with each other.
It's literally traveling back in time
Yeah, for him.
for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Dude,
Wow.
I never in my wildest dreams growing up
Yeah.
I know.
would have thought that these science fiction films.
They're understatements
Yeah.
of the parallel
Yeah,
realities and
Well, I certainly never thought I was going to be a telephone for an alien. I don't see that in too many, job.
A cell phone.
Telephone for an alien. Okay.
I'm an intergalactic cell phone.
Well, thanks, guys.
Dude.
Wow, thank you.